everyone, hello people, hello YouTube. Today I am going to do a Q&A, question and answer session. I asked on my Instagram if you guys had any questions for me. You did. I have them on my iPad pod, and I'm going to answer them. I'm a bit terrified because I haven't really read them properly yet. Cat. I can hear her scratching, but I think she's fine. Anyway, yeah, I haven't really read them properly yet, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people, when they do Q&As, like, read them, think of what they're going to say, and then, or at least have a basis, you know, so they know what they're going to say. I haven't read them yet, so I apologise in advance for when, definitely, my answers are really rambly and don't make any sense and are really difficult. So, we're just going to get started. First one. Also, I'm so bad at reading. I don't know if I'm dyslexic. I've never been tested. I do reckon I've got dyspraxia when all the numbers jumble up in your head, because every time someone says a number to me like, oh, it's 2507, every time I'll be like, oh, that's 7052. Every single time without fail. So yeah, not my forte. So I apologise if it's a bit but I'll get there. Okay, if you have a small room, do you have any tips to maximise your space? Very good question. I also, I'm sorry, but I haven't said who these are from, because I didn't ask everyone or anyone whether they wanted to be or didn't want to be anonymous. I obviously haven't done this before. So next time when I do a Q&A, I'll say like, from Sarah. But this time I haven't got any names because I didn't know if anyone wanted them to be shared. So apologies, but thank you for the question if you're watching. If you have a small room, do you have any tips to maximise space? Loads. I have loads of tips to maximise space. Mainly it would be a colour palette thing for me. Obviously, to make the room appear bigger, you want to go lighter, so don't, tricky. If you want to maximise space, make the room feel bigger, then go lighter. So you don't want a dark colour on the ceiling, you don't want a dark colour on the walls, because it will just close it in, which for me, sometimes on the right occasion, can be lovely, because you make sometimes if you've got a really small room, you can't really get away from the fact that it's a small room. I'd say embrace the fact that it's a small room. So paint everything really dark and turn it into a really cute, cozy little hug cave type thing. But that's not the question. The question is any tips to maximise space. So if you want to make the room feel bigger, yeah, keep the wall colours light, keep the ceiling colour light, put mirrors wherever you can, everywhere. So ideally, if you've got like a window in the room, put a mirror opposite the window to try and give the feeling that the room is actually bigger than it is. That will project a bit of light in as well. That will make the room feel bigger and lighter in area. I even have, I wonder if I can show you. Is that going to be annoying? Possibly. Can I show you? Oh, it's around the corner. I'm not going to bother. But basically, one tip that I have is I have a bit of artwork around there, which I will show you. Maybe I'll put a picture in or something. A bit of artwork around there, which is a picture of just like an illustration of lots of plants, and then in the picture there's a window, and it, I'm so sorry, someone is scratching at my door and I have to get it. What? Are you coming in or out? Okay, she just has to be involved every time, all of the time. Hello, Skippy. Careful of all the wires. Sorry. So yeah, up there I've got a bit of artwork that literally has got a window in the piece of artwork. What do you want? Come here. Come here. Oi. You're in it now. See? Are you good? This is so disjointed. I'm so sorry. What are you doing? Okay. Yeah, so over there I've got a bit of artwork which has got a window in the artwork, and I know it sounds ridiculous, but I can lay in my bed and look at my bit of artwork and it feels like the room is bigger, like I've got a window over there. It's really clever. I'll show you it. But effectively, maximising space, light walls, mirrors everywhere, make sure you keep everything like nice and light and airy, and obviously there's always loads of tiny like pockets and like places that you wouldn't think of that you can use for space, like the standard under bed storage, on top of wardrobe storage, and there's lots of little like tips and tricks. Maybe I'll put it into a reel actually, so My short answer-ish would be basically lighten up all your walls and get mirrors to reflect the light and reflect the space and make it feel bigger. But I might do a little reel for actual physical storage solutions to see where you can hide stuff if you really haven't got a lot of space to play with. So pending, stay tuned, TBC. How do you get inspired? Oh, it's a cute question. I have always been taught by my mum that there is beauty everywhere, you just have to look for it. So wherever I go, wherever I'm out and about, I know it sounds all a bit naff, but if you do open your mind to like stuff around you, you will end up noticing more beautiful things than you would generally. So I always encourage, firstly, try not to get so bogged down by I personally try not to get so bogged down by Instagram and Pinterest. So I absolutely love them both. I mean, my God, I love a Pinterest hole. It's like Pinterest hole. I can fall deeply into one and it's amazing. But at the same time, you can do exactly that. You can fall into it. It can be so daunting and so overwhelming and you don't really get anywhere. You're just like pin, save. Same with Instagram. There's so many amazing things on there that it can just be too much. So I encourage getting a magazine like Home, House and Garden, and actually physically getting in your car and driving out to see spaces. So like I love to visit individual antique stores and secondhand places and quirky little individual sort of independent shops, because do you hear that? She's trying to climb the curtain. See if I can show you in a minute. What are you doing? Where even are you? Hi! Such an attention seeker. Anyway, oh my God, this is so chaotic. I'm gonna ignore her now. I can't, I'm so sorry, but this is just too good to miss. What are you looking at? Mayos! Wow. Apologies. So yeah, I like to go out and about in the car, meet people, talk to people, and look at things that you wouldn't just see when you just literally sit on your phone. Because for me, getting inspired isn't literally about finding new things and seeing new things and, you know, copying other designers or getting ideas from other people. It's not only just sitting looking at stuff on a screen, because that in itself isn't an inspiring process. So I get inspired when I'm out and about. I can feel the fresh air on my face, I can speak to people, you know, learn things from people. So I basically would say, to get inspired, get out and about, read a magazine as opposed to staring at your phone if you can, and shop around lots of individual quirky places, and you'll find lots of, you know, stuff that you wouldn't expect to see. It'll broaden your mind, and that's my starting point for inspiration, really. Plus, you know, a little bit of Instagram and Pinterest on the side always, because how can you not? What, as a designer, are your key starting points? Okay, so I presume that's like, obviously I'm doing a new project, where do I begin? Often hard for people to know where to begin. I don't really struggle, because a lot of the time I just get like a feeling. I know that sounds so naff, but I go into a place and think, right, this is what I think it should look like. I get kind of like an overpowering idea. But my key starting point is often with colour scheme. I think for me, colour is really important. It's something that I sort of care about a lot. I'm not the most neutral gal in the world. I like to use a lot of colour where I can. So I like to start with that. So that's quite an easy tip for other people as well. If you don't know where to start, colour scheme. So say you're doing a room, pick the bit that's going to have the most impact and the most colour. So for example, a curtain fabric, if that's got a, you know, interesting pattern on it, pick out the main key factor that's going to stay, like a curtain fabric or a wallpaper, and then effectively you can just pick and pull colours out of there. So I mean, for example, I obviously didn't choose my room around my bedding, but looking at it now, I have this very garish, colourful, made by Pip bedding behind me, and it's got a lot of pinks and greens and things. So you could pick that and then literally look within it, and it's got kind of this russet colour, this orangey colour, a lot of green, a lot of pink. It's got basically every colour under the sun under it. But once you've got that starting point, you know what tones and what colours you can pick out. So I like to start with the colour palette, and then I build from there. So then you think, okay, well that's that, and then I need to add a bit of texture, add a bit of warmth, add a bit of interest. So My key starting point would probably be the colour palette, I think. But again, I get kind of an overwhelming feel of like, this is what it's going to look like, and then a bit of inspiration. It's really hard to not get tied to one piece of furniture. So say I've got an idea and then I'll go around and shop and be like, oh, I need to get that bookcase in somewhere. It's really hard to not be committed to that bookcase and try and build the scheme around that. So I suppose just find one thing that you're really sure of and that you love, and then build from there. Okay, this isn't so much a question, but it just says, I absolutely love your how to dress a coffee table reel and would love to see other things like it, e.g. dress a bookcase, dress a shelf, etc. I will do that. That is a thing I will do. I'm not gonna lie, I've been thinking about that, but I don't actually have a bookcase in my house. We have very little storage, so I was thinking about it, but I haven't got one. But I will get some shelves, I will buy a bookcase, and I will do dress a bookcase, dress a console table, some more styling videos. So thank you so much for saying that you liked them. Me. Right, where even am I? Okay, this one says, what has got you here? Which is a very all-encompassing question. Thank you. Do you want my life story? That's a long question. What has got me here? Okay, so this has kind of been dwelled on in other videos, so I'll really try and summarise. I was always a really arty kid. I was always brought up in a really arty household. My mum was an artist, my granddad's a painter, my granddad is I can't talk. My mum's an artist and a painter. My granddad paints and does art a bit, but he's also a sort of draftsman. He did carpentry, stained glass, and my great nan was a tailoress. My dad's a writer. I come from quite an arty family without even realising. Like, it was just kind of what I was always brought up around, and then I get older and everyone's like, oh, everyone's so creative. I'm like, yeah, I guess so. So when I was a kid, my mum was a really sort of good interior designer as well. I was brought up around her, you know, making art. We moved quite a lot, and we'd like move into a house, transform it, bring it back to life, install loads of character, strip it back and make it, you know, beautiful again, and then move on to the next house. So I was kind of brought up around that, along with like playing with textiles and yeah, looking around lots of individual shops, and that was kind of my upbringing. So as soon as I went to school, I was literally like, I want to do art, drama, music, textiles. I don't want to do anything mathy or sciencey, not my bag. So yeah, I got to school and that's what I did. You know, as soon as I could do my GCSEs and A-levels, they were all really, I did drama as well. They were all completely arty subjects, and I did English language, which was not fun, but I passed, so that's what I care about. But the rest of it was music, art, drama, textiles. And in textiles, you did a lot of like textile design, print design, and that sort of led me in the interior design way as well. So as soon as I left school, I went and got an internship at a handbag company in London. It was amazing. Taught me a lot, but I decided that I didn't really want to be in fashion because it can just be a bit how do you say, bitchy in a nice way. Bitchy. So although my internship was not that way at all, I had a magical time. I had lovely colleagues, I learnt a lot, but I just feel the industry as a whole is a bit that way inclined, whereas interior design feels a bit more friendly, a bit more cozy. You know, you're dealing with people's houses, people's homes, and it was always something that I held so dear because my house is like my haven, that I thought this would be the perfect job for, like, you know, role, career for me. I applied for a job at Laura Ashley. I was 18. I never thought I'd get it in a million years because it literally specified you need a degree, do not apply unless you've got a degree, blah, blah, blah. I applied. My manager was a magical woman, Annette. We got on very well. I love her dearly, and she gave me the job. So I was there for 3 years. Then I started my own sort of little freelance thing, and a few things happened in between, and here I am. So I guess that answers your question. What has got you here? The cat is climbing the curtains literally behind you again, so I'm sorry if I'm a bit yeah, I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry that I gave you my life story, but that is what's got me here. I've always been arty, creative, absolutely love interior design, and really would hope to instill my love for my home into other people's homes. That's the goal. That's the goal. She's back. I need to let her out now. I'm so sorry. Come on, babe. Go on. Go on. very aware at how long and rambly these are, and I still have quite a few questions to get through. Okay, what is the most important thing about an interior design project? I don't know whether you mean in general or for me personally. It's a good question. For me, most important thing probably is functionality. So even whether I'm doing a commercial space or a residential space, although even sometimes there might be things that I personally would like to do differently or more bold or more weird or, you know, whatever. I've always got the interest of my client at heart. So if, you know, if it's a bedroom or something, and I would always think, okay, this has got to be a calming space. So I'm not going to paint it like dark red and put loads of skulls everywhere, you know, like in a grungy fashion. I'm not going to do that because also that wouldn't be what I'd go for, but just as an example, my clients' needs are the most important thing for me, because at the end of the day, not everyone can be an interior designer. I think something that sort of is bypassed is thinking, oh, I can make something look really lovely, which is kind of the basic thing of being an interior designer, I would say. It's all about, I think the most important thing is really getting to know your client. I love to, you know, meet people and talk to people and understand what makes them tick and what makes them comfortable, and then therefore I can use all those things to make their environment perfect for them. So I would say the most important thing in an interior design project is your client and making sure that it's functional, it feels good, and it's soulful, and, you know, it's from the heart, and that they just get to enjoy their space, basically. I'm gonna listen to a client. How do you draw? I'm so sorry, this could be the writing, this probably is me. How do you draw the client between listening to your, how do you draw the line between listening to your client and going with what they think they should go with? Okay, that makes sense. That was me being like, what? I see, so the client says, I want to do this, and you think, maybe you shouldn't, but you have to draw the line between what they want and what you advise. So I can be, I think I'm quite firm but fair, and I'm not, I hope I'm not an intimidating human. So like if a client has an idea or a proposal, often it's a good one and I can integrate it. Like, I'm like, great, that's a really good idea. I'm going to integrate that within the scheme. Perfect, lovely. If I think it's not going to work so well, I'm just very honest. I mean, I literally cannot be anything other than honest. That is literally drilled into me. So sometimes too much, probably. Just like, here's my heart on my sleeve or on my earrings, and take it, listen to me. But yeah, sometimes if they say something that I don't think that's going to work, I can show them sometimes as well. You know, I can show them like digitally. I'd go, well, this is what you want it to look like. This is what I advise, and then often they can actually physically see the difference. But if they can't, if I can't do that, you know, and they can't visualize it, I'll just be honest. It's really hard to say, isn't it? I'll just say, I think your idea is good, but this is how maybe we could do it differently. Yeah, kind of compromise and just be honest about it, really. Worst case scenario, if they say I want to paint a massive mural on that wall and you think that won't work, then you can give it a bash, sort of object maybe slightly, and then if it doesn't work out, you can paint over it, I guess. Worst case scenario, just do what they say and then you can backtrack later, but I don't advise that. I advise just nipping it in the bud, going, I think it's a really nice idea, but also we could do it differently, and just being, you know, diplomatic and methodical and honest about it. I hope that answers the question. Yeah. How do you make people push their boundaries? That's a really good one, actually. I find it really easy. I find that people are often in their sort of soul and in the back of their heads, they've got these ideas and they've got this person who they want to be, where they think, oh, I really want to do like a really dramatic wallpaper, but I'm really scared and and so I'm just going to paint it grey. I think there's a part of that in most people. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that a lot of my clients struggle with, like, is just having the confidence to be like, no, do it. So when you say, how do you make people push their boundaries, literally like that, I go, no, do it. Just do it, trust me. And I think it's that. I think it's just knowing that you've got like a professional interior designer who's done it before to be able to sort of hold your hand and you know, say that is a good choice. You should push yourself. You will not regret it. And I can literally promise you with my hand on my heart, there has never been an occasion where someone has thought, I want to do this bold thing and then regretted it later. Not in my experience anyway, because I wouldn't, if it was a bad idea, I wouldn't let it. But 90% of the time, it's literally, I've got this idea and go hard or go home. And it always pays off, because you don't want to just another plain boring house like everyone else generally. So yeah, I just encourage people and hold their hand and advise them and say it's a good plan and you should back yourself. Embrace the difference. It's a good thing. When did you first realise this was the job for you? I feel like I probably covered that in like an earlier question, but thank you for your question. Just that well, I suppose I didn't. I told you how I got here, but not when I realised. When I first, literally, I worked at Laura Ashley, I did 2 visits. One was like just to learn measuring, and my second one was, I still remember her name. Her name was Jane. I don't remember her last name. And it was my first sort of solo visit where you're not like shadowing anyone or learning at that point, because you do that for like a few weeks, and then you're out on your own. And I sat with a lady called Jane, and she was probably like early 60s, and there's always a really emotional story, well, not always, but sometimes an emotional story behind why people get an interior designer in, and I find that really quite warming and a lovely thing to be a part of, because you're not only just transforming someone's home for like a aesthetic perspective, it's from an emotional perspective too. So her 2 sons had recently grown up and left home, and because one of her sons lived at home with her grandson and the girlfriend, so the whole family had moved out basically. She had a house full of kids, and she was early 60s, maybe like late 50s, early 60s, and everyone had moved. She'd had like loads of boys and people and babies and stuff in the house, and everyone had moved out, and she said she suddenly felt really lonely and like, you know, just a bit empty nest syndrome, and a bit sort of cold, like the house felt a bit cold and a bit empty and things like that. And I managed to sit with her, and literally through interior design, I can't bring her kids back, of course, I'm not disputing that, but made her feel, she told me she felt so much more at home, so much more cozy, and just so much better about her house and her environment. And it was, you know, a distraction, and we loved meeting each other, and we got on really well, and yeah, we just introduced a lot of things that made her house feel less empty. And, you know, we formed her rooms, which were going to be spare rooms, into rooms she could enjoy. So she then had a like sewing room and, you know, all these little spaces that she could enjoy, and it was quite a magical thing. So at that point I thought, wow, it's not only just like I get to make things look pretty, which is something I love in like fashion. I started in fashion design and loved like the idea of costume design, and so it's not only as simple as I get to design things that look beautiful and put textures together and fabrics together that just makes me happy. I actually get to kind of help people in a small way, because again, my home is my haven, and I realised that I got to make her feel more comfortable and her happy in her home. And that was when I thought, yep, this is what I want to do forever. So I'm so lucky to have discovered that at such a young age. Yeah, it's a fab thing, and I'm full of gratitude for it. Very lucky. I like a lot of music that you use on your reels, etc. Where do you get your taste from? I have a very eclectic taste of music, to be honest. On my reels and stuff, yeah, I choose quite like nice soulful music, I think. I will make a Spotify playlist and share it with people. I actually am an Apple Music gal, so I have loads of playlists but can't actually share them with people. But I will make one and I will share it with you. Thank you so much. I'm glad you like my music taste. I'm very passionate about music, so thank you very much. Are plants important in a space to you? Well, yes. I feel like you've seen that I have many plants, and that's where that question has came from. Yes, so thank you. To me, plants are so important. I did, again on Instagram, I did loads of collaborations with a company called Beards and Daisies, and I spoke about the importance of plants literally from like an air purifying perspective. This was in the middle of lockdown, and they're like little friends, and you know, you can look after them and they grow, and it's just a reminder that, you know, life is living and going on, and there's these little happy living creatures with you in your house, which all sounds very hippie, but yeah, as I say, from like an air purifying perspective and things as well, they just make you feel joyful. And green is my favourite colour, so the more green the merrier. And honestly, from an aesthetic point of view, to be less hippie about it, I've done so many rooms that can look kind of like nice, but then you put a plant in the corner and it just elevates it. It just makes it look so much more lively and like often quite modern. And my nan's house, actually, she recently just got like a plant and put it in the corner, and it literally has just completely changed everything. So yes is the short answer. I have to put a plant in like every space that I do because they are beautiful and magical and very wonderful and useful. So yes. What do you do if, oh god, what do you do if you fulfill a brief and the client isn't happy with what you've got done? When that happens to me, I will let you know. It will be a terrifying day. To be honest, I don't think I'll ever hopefully experience this, simply because I check in with my clients the whole way along. So it's not like they go, can you design something for me? And I run off and spend all their money and order all their stuff and then install it all, and they go, well, I'm not happy with that. I, you know, consult the customer all the way through. I send them pictures, I send them mood boards, I talk to them, you know, face to face a lot, I check they're happy with things. Yeah, so I don't think that would ever happen because they approve everything ahead of time. I have a very close relationship with a lot of my clients, and yeah, that was what I would advise as well. If you're thinking like, oh, what do you do if you fill a brief and they're not happy with it? Just check in a lot so they can't turn around to you at the end and go, oh, I'm not happy with what we've done, because, you know, you've spoke to them and learnt from them and know what you're aiming for. You know what you're doing. Do you find it more of a challenge to have a tight budget, or would you prefer limitless amount of cash? Pros and cons? That's a really good question, actually, because obviously naturally you'd go limitless amount of cash would be amazing, but actually I kind of had a project-ish like that recently, not where I had limitless amount of cash, obviously, but my client wasn't like didn't really give me a budget from the offset. He just kind of said, oh, go, and then I'll like correct you when you put a bill in and it's not right, kind of thing, which was daunting because I want to establish some boundaries. But you'd think like, oh, that's amazing. But sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I had too much choice that you could just go anywhere. And honestly, the level of things I find off like eBay, secondhand places and Facebook Marketplace is absurd. Like you know, will find a mirror that I love from Perch and Parrow for £450 and then go onto Facebook Marketplace and find one that's close and like a better, bigger, heavier, or more ornate or more interesting for like £50. So I honestly don't really have a preference. I mean, obviously you've got a big budget, you've got a lot of scope to do lots of cool bespoke things and find unique pieces, and you know, it's lovely. That's lovely. Particularly it's good, you know, to have a bigger budget for sort of upholstery and things and the more high ticket items, because you can just up the luxury, so that's really good. But at the same time, I can find it challenging, because if you have more of a restriction, you have to kind of, you know, dive into, as I say, places like Facebook Marketplace and really rummage through, and then you'll find more of a pearl in the dust. You'll get a more eclectic sort of homey look. So yeah, I don't mind really. Either way. Where are we now? Oh, we're nearly at the end. Does someone so young feel like you have enough experience to be as good as an interior designer with years, etc.? Basically, is it taught or innate? I like that question, so thank you very much. I covered this in a, well, kind of covered this in a, I did an IGTV on Instagram, a degree or not degree, that is the question, which is kind of similar, because I suppose it's implying like someone who's got a degree and years of experience, who like, you know, a lady who's like trained and is like 40, as opposed to a girl who is a woman who is not trained and is 24. You know, why would I choose you over her, I guess. I personally believe it's innate. Not that it can't be taught. I think a degree for me would have been useful in many ways, like particularly for like CAD design and things like that, and 3D renders and all of these programs that you get to learn and communities that you mix with and stuff. I obviously didn't get any of those contacts, and I had to teach myself CAD and Photoshop and that was challenging, and I'm still not fantastic at certain elements of like 3D rendering. I'm definitely not on a sort of architectural scale, but I can, you know, mock up many a thing. But that took a lot of like time and patience. So for a degree, that would be so useful that, you know, someone actually teaches you that and talks you through that and things. And yeah, if someone's got years and years of experience, then sure, you know, they're going to be good. But I also have now like 5 years in the industry. I had like 3 years at Laura Ashley, and I've been doing my own interior design thing, and trust me, on a very, what's what I'm looking for, not saturated, very compacted level. Like I did a lot in the space, I've done a lot in the space of 2 years when I've been doing my own freelance thing, and learned a lot and done a lot of things that have taught me a lot. So I think it's innate. I mean, I think that you probably can be taught these things, and if you know, you've got a bit of a natural flair, and then, you know, you get a degree for it or whatever, great. But I think I was born with a kind of creative eye, and I don't mean to sound conceited, I just think that it can be natural. You know, you can be naturally born with these things. As I say, I come from a very creative family. I've been brought up with it since I was like 2, so in that way I've got 24 years of experience, or if I've been doing it since I was 2, 22 years worth of experience. And yeah, I'm really confident, and I kind of know what I'm doing, and I like to read people and listen to them, so I don't think it can per se be taught. I think a natural eye is innate, in a nutshell. That's pretty much it. The next question is literally the same. What's your USP? Why would I go for you over another interior designer? So I suppose it's kind of similar in the fact that if someone's got loads of experience or whatever, why would you choose Mole as opposed to them? I'm not gonna sell myself here. That's not the point of this, but I think I get to know my clients really well. I've never let anyone down. Everyone's always been happy with the work that I've done, and yeah, I've got a distinctive look, and I like to push the boundaries, and I promise you wouldn't be disappointed. I'm not going to start going, this is why you would choose me over another interior designer. You'll either get a feel for me, and you'll like what I do, and you'll like my style, and you'll like what I can give you, or you won't, and that's absolutely fine either way. So yeah, that is the end of my Q&A, guys. Not so much, like, I thought I'd get more kind of like trouble solving, yeah, that is right, problem solving, that sounded wrong, problem solving interior design-y kind of questions, sort of like, so what do I do if I've got this situation? But it seems like you just wanted to know a bit more about Mole, so I hope that helps. Thank you so much to everyone who actually asked me questions. It's really, really nice to interact with you guys, and yeah, if you have any more, feel free to send me a DM anytime. Feel free to put questions in the comments, because I'll just bank them up and do a Q&A again very soon. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you liked it, and I'll see you next week. Mwah!